Streptococcaceae. So before starting the topic, I want to thank all my viewers. So actually this PPT and my YouTube channel is not for any monetary benefits. I have not monetized anything. Myself a doctor. So this is just to help the poor students to get knowledge, because many students after the CBME curriculum are facing difficulties in identifying and getting notes of subjects. This is not only for MBBS, it's also for those allied health sciences, nursing students who have microbiology as their one of their additional subjects. So let's start the topic. Thank you students for the support you're giving me, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. Okay, we'll start. Streptococcaceae. So Streptococcaceae family has 7 genera, among which Streptococcus is a major cause of human infection. The second one is Enterococcus, which is frequent cause of human infection too. Aerococcus, it is usually isolated from endocarditis, meningitis, and urinary tract infection. Lactococcus, a rare human pathogen. Pediococcus, a non-fermenter of the lower GI tract, occasionally isolated from abscesses. Leukonostoc, it is infrequently isolated from blood, wounds, and abscesses. Gemellia, it is a rare isolate from the upper respiratory tract infection. So the general morphology and characteristics. Gram-positive bacteria, which is spherical or ovoid in shape, they are non-motile. They grow in pairs or chains of various length, divide in a plane perpendicular to the long axis of the chain. There are around 30 species identified. Members of this genus cause a variety of diseases, but they are also quite common as members of normal flora. So this is how a gram-positive bacteria will look. The first one is the gram-positive bacteria in chains, and the second one is in pairs. You can see that gram-positive is purple in color, okay, and gram-negative, if you see, it will be pink in color. Now the classification. Preliminary differentiation is based on the hemolytic pattern which they are exhibited on blood agar. They may be classified into alpha, beta, and gamma. Alpha hemolysis is incomplete hemolysis, beta hemolysis is complete hemolysis, and gamma hemolysis means no hemolysis. I think you are aware of these basic points. So serological classification was developed in the 1930s by Lansfield based upon the antigenic composition of the cell wall carbohydrate. So this is called Lansfield grouping. Based upon the capsular polysaccharide, pneumococcus is being differentiated into 84 capsular types. And next classification is based upon the physiological and biochemical characteristics which may be used to differentiate the species into Streptococci and Enterococci, which we will discuss in the future slide. In the future, DNA probes and hybridization of PCR related tests may be used to identify Streptococci and Enterococci. So they may be used for differentiation of these bacteria. Hemolysis in blood agar. So as I told you, alpha hemolysis is partial hemolysis, which gives a greenish appearance. Beta hemolysis is complete hemolysis of RBCs, so it gives a clear zone of lysis. And gamma hemolysis is no hemolysis. Okay, for alpha hemolysis, example is Streptococci viridans. Beta hemolysis is Streptococci pyogenes, or group A Streptococci. And gamma hemolysis, you can say Enterococci is an example. Fine. Next. So composition of the cell wall carbohydrate. So based upon the Lansfield group of classification, we can differentiate beta hemolytic Streptococci into zero groups by which antigenic differences can be identified. So they are classified into 18 groups starting from A to H and K to T. Some species are non-typable. So here we will be discussing about Streptococcus viridans and Streptococcus pneumoniae. So zero group A, which is Streptococci pyogenes, causes pharyngitis, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, and cellulitis. Group B Streptococci, like Streptococcaceae, causes diarrheal sepsis and meningitis. Group C causes upper respiratory tract infections. Group D, which is Enterococcus, causes genitourinary and wound infections and endocarditis. Group G causes upper respiratory tract infections, cellulitis, and sepsis. Growth condition. So many of the bacteria form capsules. Streptococci are more fastidious than Staphylococci and require infusion media or enriched media such as blood to grow. Many of the hemolytic or blood agar, the sources of the blood, for example sheep versus rabbit, may be affecting the hemolysis of the organisms which they exhibit. Therefore clinical labs use 5% sheep blood agar in the blood agar. So addition of cotrimoxazole to the sheep blood agar may be used to suppress the growth of normal flora. Streptococci are microaerophilic and are good growth require reduced oxygen tension. This provided in a candle jar or in a carbon dioxide incubator. So you can grow this in an environment with less oxygen. For example, you can grow it in a candle jar or a carbon dioxide incubator. This is explained in this paragraph. Fine. Next. So biochemical identification. Streptococcus are catalase negative. Staphylococcus and micrococci are catalase positive. So streptococci are oxidase negative and Neisseria are oxidase positive. Fine. So this is how we are differentiating using characteristics. So clinical importance of streptococci. So clinical importance of streptococci from the beta hemolytic group are group A streptococci and group B streptococci. Alpha hemolytic group you have virulent streptococci and streptococci pneumoniae, and I told you gamma hemolytic streptococci are enterococci, which is group D streptococci. Fine. So differentiation within genus. Once a clinical isolate is identified as Streptococcus species, before biochemical identification is done, several things should be considered. So first, the source of the specimen. Alpha hemolytic streptococci are represented or isolated from the respiratory tract and likely to be virulent streptococci, which are normal flora, or streptococci pneumoniae, which may be pathogen. Understood? And alpha hemolytic streptococci from the GI tract may be normal flora, enterococci. Beta hemolytic streptococci from the respiratory tract are most likely to be Streptococcus pyogenes. This is a pathogen. Beta hemolytic streptococci for gender related, most probably group B streptococci or Streptococcaceae. So differential diagnosis. Certain streptococci are more common isolated with special clinical symptoms, like group A, which is isolated with sore throat, and group B with neonatal meningitis. So based upon hemolysis, if it is beta hemolytic, the Landsman classification is being applied and they are classified into several groups like A, B, C, D, F, and now we will talk about Streptococcus pyogenes. Streptococcus pyogenes are group A streptococci based upon Landsman classification. They are sensitive to 0.04 units of basic resin done only on beta hemolytic streptococci. Group A is sensitive, so it means that it is sensitive to basic resin. Okay. This is a leading cause of bacterial pharyngitis, also responsible for various types of cutaneous and systemic infections. So pathogenesis. It causes pharyngitis, skin infections like cellulitis, erypsies and impetigo, necrotizing fasciitis, scarlet fever, post-streptococcal diseases like acute rheumatic fever and acute glomerulonephritis. So now we talk about group B streptococci. So group B streptococci are also beta hemolytic. They are part of the normal flora of the aorta, vagina, urethra, rectum, and occasionally in the pharynx. It appears to be sexually transmitted. So the group B streptococci, Streptococcaceae, may be sexually transmitted. So in adults, it rarely causes urinary tract infection, meningitis, bacteremia, and endocarditis. It may be a major cause of puerperal sepsis in postpartum women. The most serious cases of group B infections occur in the newborn. There are two types of diseases in newborn: early onset and late onset. Early onset may be seen in babies which get infected in utero or at birth, with the organism gaining access to the respiratory tract. It has high mortality rate and is characterized by respiratory diseases and bacteremia. Septicemia and meningitis also occur. Late onset disease occur in 7 to 10 days after birth, and the baby probably acquires this infection by direct contact with the mucosal surfaces. This is characterized by meningitis, osteomyelitis, and possibly bacteremia. The mortality rate is high but lower than that of the early onset sepsis. So group B streptococci or Streptococcaceae is differentiated by biochemical tests. For example, the first one is CAMS test. See, this test for diffusible heat stable extracellular protein secreted by group B streptococci that enhances the growth of it enhances the hemolysis of GPRBCs by beta hemolysis of streptococci. The synergy action of the two hemolysis given in the arrowhead appearance of hemolysis. This is a positive test seen in group B streptococci. So this is beta hemolysis. This is penicillin sensitivity. Streptococcus pneumoniae. This is gram-positive lancet-shaped diplococci. This is a obligate human parasite. Normal nasopharyngeal flora consists of around 5 to 10% of pneumococci in adult carriers. 20 to 40% are in healthy children are carriers. Seasonal variation in colonization rate occurs which increases in midwinter. Transmitted from person to person with extensive close contact. In children, it may be transmitted in daycare centers, in adults, in military camps, prisons, homeless shelters, and so this is the gram strain of Streptococcus pneumoniae. So Streptococcus pneumoniae may present with mucoid colonies due to capsules. So the colonies are translucent and mucoid. They raised in young culture and become flattened and raised in the edges like a mixing head appearance. So it is sensitive to optocin. So optocin is a detergent that activates the autolytic enzyme and lyses the cell of Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay, so this is a very specific test to identify Streptococcus pneumoniae. Next is bile solubility test. Bile solubility test selectively lyse the colonies of Streptococcus pneumoniae while other streptococci immune into bile activity. The bile salts such as deoxycholate are added directly to Streptococcus pneumoniae growing on an agar plate or in a broth containing the bacteria. There is lysis which is happening. So other alpha hemolytic streptococci do not lyse the bile and will stay visible or turbid. Thank you. Next, you have the respiratory tract colonization. So these are the diseases caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. For example, you can talk about sinusitis and otitis media, even pneumonia, bacteremia, meningitis, endocarditis, septic arthritis, other diseases caused by this pathogen. Next is Pyridine streptococci. It is a diverse group of organisms varying in environment and niches the pathogenicity. Alpha hemolytic on blood agar is seen. This virulence is derived from the Latin word viridis, which means green. So the component of the normal flora of oral cavity, respiratory tract, GI tract, and female genital tract. So virulent streptococci are normal flora components of respiratory, GI, female genital, and oral cavity. This you should remember. It accounts of 30 to 40% of infective endocarditis, occurs mostly in patients with underlying valvular heart disease. So a predeposition valvular heart disease is required. Next, it can also cause bacteremia. So to differentiate Streptococcus viridans from Streptococci pneumoniae, you should do optocin sensitivity where Streptococci pneumoniae is positive and Streptococci viridans does not or is not sensitive to optocin. Next is Enterococcus. According to Lancet classification, it's classified into group D. So taxonomically, it is no more considered within the Streptococcus species. 12 group of Enterococci species are present, among which Streptococcus faecalis and Faecium are important. So these species must be found to be implicated in diseases. Is Enterococcus faecalis. So they are normal inhabitants of the fecal flora. Site of infection are urinary tract, bile tract. Bacteremia, endocarditis, intra-abdominal infections are commonly caused by this pathogen. These are non-hemolytic. The colonies are small, colorless, and shiny. Identification is done by biological agar. Group D biochemical identification may be alpha hemo and gamma hemolytic, which includes Enterococci and non-Enterococci species. Bioluminescent hydrolysis in all group D grows in the presence of bioluminescent and are positive for esculin hydrolysis, and the rest are negative. So you can see that the black color decolorization, or when you see naturally, it is somewhat greenish. Okay, so the bioluminescent hydrolysis is positive by forming of a greenish color in the slant, and no color change is negative. So bile-esculin hydrolysis for Enterococcus faecalis is hydrolyzed esculin in the presence of the bile and turns more than half of the medium to dark brown. This is a positive result. Streptococcus pyogenes do not hydrolyze esculin in the presence of bile. No dark color complex is formed. This is a negative result. Okay, thank you for your understanding. Stay tuned. Bye.